Judge Weaver, please step up.
I'm shorter than everyone else. I had wanted to come tonight to speak to you about the Appalachian Pretrial Probation program. I know there had been some confusion, and then I know that I had talked to you, Commissioner Felton, about the program, and I thought it would be wise to come and speak for all three commissioners, realizing that when this program first started in 1998, you were not in office, and some of you were so young, maybe you were not even born yet. So, it is a county probation department. It started in 1998 when Judge Milan was our chief judge. I was the second Superior Court judge. I'd been appointed in 1996. Roger Queen was our district attorney at the time. Susan Stringer was our chief felony probation officer, well, a chief probation officer, and she had made it known to us that, first of all, the state of Georgia was not hiring any more probation officers, and that they would need some help with the county misdemeanor probationers, but in particular, that it was her understanding that there would be coming a time in the next couple of years in which the state of Georgia said we will only supervise felony cases, and each county will need to come up with a system to supervise those on misdemeanor probation. And misdemeanor probation is anything that's up to 12 months and up to $1,000 fine, and in some cases, if they're exaggerating, it go up to a $5,000 fine. So we all met in a room, and I don't recall, probably Gilbert County, because most of the time when we'd all get together, we would meet in the middle. And all the commissioners were there, along with the judges, the district attorney, I think maybe some of the county attorneys, I'm not sure about that. But we decided that it would be more economical, rather than each county having a separate county probation department, that the circuit would come together and form an Appalachian circuit. We had initially tried to use private probation from like 1996 to 1998, and it was not working out well for us, because with a private probation company, they usually come 1 or 2 days a week and see the probationers, and then they go to another location. And we needed somebody that was going to be available 5 days a week, 40 hours a week, with the types of things that we were wanting to do. Taking medication for a cold, so I get some water. So at that time, we decided to form the Appalachian Pretrial Probation Program, consisting of all three counties. We initially started the program with some money from the county date fund to hire a first probation officer. And then as the probation fees were collected in each county, we were able to hire additional officers, one in each county. So at that time, in 2001, we had to take over supervising all of the county probation departments, all of the county misdemeanor probationers. Now, at that time, there was an organization called the Administrative Office of the Courts, that was the agency that was actually supervising and monitoring county probation departments. As some of you know, with the Criminal Justice Reform Act, they have now have a Department of Community Supervision, which regulates all probation and parole, including even juvenile probation. And they are the agency that now monitors all county and private probation companies. They are the ones who establish the rules that you must go by, including county and private. And it was my understanding that someone was interested in forming a private probation company, so I actually brought a checklist, because the qualifications to do that are very stringent, and they should be, as well as on the county. So we must follow all of their guidelines, as well as anyone who's wanting to do a private probation company. But I brought some of those checklists and some other documents to leave with you in case anyone would like to have access to those. The Department of Community Supervision has approved new rules for the county private probation programs. One of the reasons they did that was because of the legislation that was passed. But another reason they did so was because of a lawsuit that came out of Augusta, Georgia, I think, in which some individuals were suing a private probation company for violation of their rights or doing some other things. And you say, well, how does that concern us now? Well, this is how it will concern you. We are judges, whether it be superior court, city courts, probate courts, or magistrate courts, must be very careful in ordering any type of fine, looking at restitution, and even ordering that a defendant pay probation fees. And the reason that is important, of course, because the fine money, once collected, comes to the county. The probation fees are used to help fund the county probation program in all three counties, with the assistance of each county government putting in money to do so. We are concerned, not only in this circuit, but throughout Georgia, how that is going to affect cities and counties if individuals cannot be ordered to pay probation fees, or if they are ordered to pay probation fees. Do we need to decrease those, or how do we look at those? The guidelines that they are putting in the statute that came out of the court case are very strict in terms of determining whether or not an individual can actually pay a fine and how much. If an individual can actually pay a probation fee and how much. We are told that we should not be putting individuals in jail for the non-payment of fines and restitution and or probation fees. And in particular, the restitution issue is something that all the judges are struggling with, because we like for our victims to be paid back for any damages that's been caused to them. But again, we are to look at the individual defendant, make a determination of what he makes, what he's capable of making, what he owns, what he can do, and then assess a fine. And the reason all judges must be very careful in that, because we don't want our circuit or any of the cities or counties in our circuit to be sued by individuals saying that we are not following the rules that have now been established by the Department of Community Supervision, and actually bring a lawsuit. So I wanted to bring that to your attention in the event you feel like the fine money is not coming in. We're trying to be very careful about that. The other issue is that we use the our public probation program to assist us in performing drug screens, not only if you're on probation, but also if you're in any of the accountability courts that's operated by the circuit. And in particular, we use it to monitor individuals who are on bond conditions for a lot of different reasons. For example, a lot of times the sheriff's office will call one of the judges to indicate that there's an inmate in the jail that's having some severe medical issues, trying to assist the county in not accruing a lot of medical issues. We will let the individual be released, but require him or her to come back and be screened either weekly or twice weekly in order to make sure that they're not out committing other crimes. And bond conditions are ordered not only just on cases involving alcohol and or drugs, but most of us know that a lot of the property crimes, a lot of the violent crimes, the individuals are actually under the influence of drugs and or alcohol while committing these crimes. So the bond conditions put in place are pretty common in that they will require some type of bond conditions. And that is something that our county probation officers do as well. I brought with me tonight Mr. Holloway. Mr. Holloway is the county probation officer here in Fannin County. He's born and raised in Fannin County. He's been a certified police officer since 2010, and he runs the office here in Fannin County. His probation aide is Kim Jones, who assists him. Kim would be responsible for when individuals come in after a fine is assessed or restitution. They will sit down with the probationer, determine the amount that the person can pay each month, and then set up a time schedule for the probationer to pay that. So that would be paid through the probation office here in Fannin County, and then they would submit those funds to the accounting office in Jasper, and then those accounts are audited and part of the Pickens County government. So I looked today, and it appears between all of the different courts they serve, it's about 190 probationers just here in Fannin County, because we also, the program also monitors the probationers from the city of McCaysville in Fannin County as well. The other individuals hired by the probation department are also, the probation officers are each certified police officers, and the chief probation officer is also a certified police officer, has been so from 8 years, and I didn't find out from today that April was actually from Fannin County as well, moved to Jasper, which he was working for the Pickens County Sheriff's Office. So all the probation officers employed by the Appalachian Probation Department are certified police officers. And you say, why is that important? Well, one of the issues involved in the case that went up to the Supreme Court was the fact that probationers' cases were being told. You know, I go in and report in February, and then I don't show up until June or July. There's a provision under the law where your sentence can actually be told. But if you told a sentence, what they're telling us, both by the rules and the court cases, is that you must make efforts to go out and locate the probationer. In this circuit, if we go out and find them, our probation officers can actually arrest them because they're a certified police officer. The private probation company involved in the lawsuit did not have certified police officers, and therefore they had to depend on the sheriff's office in that county to do so. Well, as you know, sheriff's offices are very busy, and they don't necessarily have the time to go out and try to locate individuals on misdemeanor probation. So we feel like that is one of the benefits of having our public system, is that we only hire certified police officers to serve as the probation officers in our circuit. Pickens County and Gilmer County, when they were building their courthouses, provided the office space in the courthouse. When the courthouse was being built here in Fannin County, we actually approached the commissioner at that time about space, but he felt like there was not the money to expand the courthouse any more than necessary. And at that time, he agreed that they would just pay a private landlord for the office space. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because in our budget to Fannin, your budget is always more than Pickens or Gilmer, and we make a note in there that the difference in the amount is the actual amount that is paid to the landlord each month. If there was ever any additional space in this courthouse, and I know that everybody keeps hoping and praying that the library will get a big, beautiful building soon, if that would save you some money in the event we could find some office space here, and frankly, it would be a real benefit to the court system because they would be here in the building if we needed to take pleas. And sometimes, even when we're having civil court, if the DA's office or the sheriff's department approaches us about some pleas being ready, we're never going to turn down an opportunity to take any criminal pleas. So that would make it very helpful. But I wanted to point that out because since 2007, in the budget that I submit to you, it will show Pickens County and Gilmer County, and it will show you guys having more, and then there's an explanation under that to show exactly what it's for. But I know sometimes when you're busy, you don't read all the details. I think that was the other thing that I think is important about our program, and they may mention that, I know I'm running over time. One of the other reasons why we wanted to have the county probation department where they would be here 40 hours a week is because we have a pretrial diversion program, and actually started that in 1998 before we even started our drug course. And that is for individuals that are maybe young, that we think that we can handle without them ending up with a criminal conviction. And so we started doing that, and actually that involved into what is the felony drug court in our circuit today, which we started in 2002. One of the other things that we are working on, Ms. Sosby has approached Judge Jones, and they are trying to develop a program designed for individuals 17 years old. They're sort of they're not, under the law, they're adults, but most of us who have raised individuals who are 17 years old know sometimes they do things that they shouldn't do, but really you don't want to saddle them with a conviction at age 17. So what we are working on now is the guidelines for that program, and Brian has agreed to monitor that for the DA's office, and I think already have one individual in that program. Those individuals will also be monitored by the Appalachian Pretrial Department. So they'll be reporting to them. What we're hoping to see in that program is that if they dropped out of school, to get them back in school, or make sure they get their GED. If there's an issue of drugs and alcohol, they will be screened. Whatever, if they need treatment, whether it be for drug abuse or even mental health issues, that we will find a way to get them into that program, and then Mr. Holloway will be responsible for making sure that they're doing that, and then they would report twice a month to the magistrate court, Judge Jones, to see, he would have a review to see how they're doing. It's gonna be modeled basically after the accountability court system, and we're hoping that will help. We're hoping we'll get those individuals frankly back in school. That's the real goal of that program. You have any questions?
I don't have any questions. That's extremely thorough. I appreciate you coming up here to do this.
One other thing I forgot. Initially, Pickens County was expected to be the paying agency for the probation program. And so they are the ones that issue the actual paychecks to all of the staff on the Appalachian Pretrial Probation. And then they also agreed, because they were already doing that when we started the accountability courts, they also are paying the individuals from all of the accountability courts, and then grant monies and county monies are used to reimburse Pickens County. What usually happens, I don't know, Commissioner Helton, if you've seen the letters, I'm sure you have already, where there's a breakdown of payroll and to what program it goes to, and then it says what Fannin County's what it is, and Fannin, that is what that is for. And that money is sent directly to Faye Harvey, who's the CFO for Pickens County.
I don't have any questions for you, I just have a statement
Okay.
that, I guess whatever sparked this whole, until last week, I didn't even know what the APPP was. I hope to never meet him. I hope never be in
He's
front of
really
you.
nice guy.
Now, I know, but in your capacities, I don't even want to fool with either one of them.
Okay.
You understand, on a personal note. So I wouldn't know anything about an APPP or what it is, what it does. I think the biggest miscommunication with this board of commissioners was, until last week when we had the meeting, I never knew we even had a contract with you. I've been here 4 years. This is my 5th year. I never knew we had a contract with APPP.
Well, actually, it's your contract because it's a county probation department. The way it's designed, it's almost, you are the county probation department in each of the 3 counties. And to have one, the chief judge of whichever court must approve it. And it's changing a little bit now, effective in July of 2016. The county commissioners in the counties can work on a probation department, but then it's up to the chief judge who has to give written consent to it. So it's still a working together process of the county commissioners of each of the 3 counties and the judges, whether it be probate judge, magistrate judge, or superior court judges. And again, we also, the city of Jasper and the city of McKaysville also requested that the APP, and thank you for calling it that, because it's a lot easier to say that in the Appalachian Pretrial Probation Program. Also, the cities contract directly with the probation department, and then their mayor, whoever, their governing authority must also sign on that. So they're actually, you go what, how many times a month? Once a month to the city of McKaysville, and then we have the probation officer in Pickens goes to the city of Jasper. I think they are twice a month now.
But what I'm saying is,
You didn't know?
well, no, I mean, I don't know who in 4 years are supposed to inform me that, because in Fannin County, if it's a contract, the whole board has to sign it. That way we know, and if that question would have came up 4 years ago and I would have known about it, I would have researched it and I would have known when it even came up what the situation was. But I don't know who was supposed to enlighten me, but without Mr. Helton bringing it here, we would have never known. And I noticed in the past, I saw a copy of one that, of course, Bill Simons has signed, and one, I guess, back from Howie Bruce's days. So I don't know if this is an every year contract, every 4-year contract, or what, whatever it is, July to July.
Yeah, it's usually they like to do it every year. Now, the Department of Community Services is developing a new contract. They told us to go ahead and get all of to use the old contracts until they come up with a new written contract. Now, once they come up with that, it's going to be a general contract that they'll want. The county probation may be a little bit different, but in other words, every governmental probation company, probation program in the state will have one contract. and then the private, but it will all, they want us to all use the same contract. So I don't know when they're gonna have that ready, but in the event you see another one, it is because they will say to us, okay, we know we told you to use the old contract, here is the new one, once you get this one signed. I don't foresee it being very different. Our chief magistrate judge in Pickens, Judge Wigington serves on that, on the department, the board, on the Department of Community Supervision, and he indicates he's still working on it. It's not gonna be a whole lot of changes, but it will be some. So in the next month or two, you may get that, we may present another contract.
And I think now that we'll be made aware of it. But for 8 years, I don't know of any other commissioner besides Bill Simon that knew about it.
I've been here 7. The only question I had about it was the contract itself, because I had never saw it. It'd never been offered by the clerk or Bill Simon or anybody.
Well, that's why I asked to come tonight, so I could answer those questions, and you know, maybe I should have just asked to come every so often to do that, and I apologize for that. But, I didn't realize that you didn't know about it, so I apologize for that, and,
Yeah,
like I
it's
said,
really
we've been
not
going
your
since
fault.
It's not your
1998.
responsibility, it was our chairman and our county clerk should have been kept us aware of things. And like I say, I've been here 7 years, and that's the first that I know it. We kind of had mixed up, we would get.
Well, if you look, and also if you look in the budget, there's also a line item there too that refers to county probation again. You don't, maybe you don't know what you're looking for, that's probably the other reason as well, because I think since 2007, there's been a line item in the budget submitted by my office that has Appalachian Pretrial Probation, because as chief judge, those types of things are put in my budget. And the only other thing that I would like to say, and I'm not gonna get into a response to any of the stuff that was previously stated, there has never been, since 1998, any judge, whether elected or appointed, that has ever received any personal funds from this program. None. We get no additional money for operating this program, and we certainly don't take any money for operating this program, and that's why all the money goes through the Pickens County government. So, to borrow a term from Donald Trump, you can make fake news all day long, but there's no money that's ever been taken from this program by any judge, whether it be magistrate, probate, superior, or anyone else. And I wanna make that extremely clear. I do this because I think this is best for our circuit. It's best for the people of our circuit. When you start looking at some of the costs of private probation and the amount of money they charge for one drug screen, and you compare that to the $5 that we charge, which basically covers the test, I think you'll see that a lot of our citizens who have made mistakes, who are on probation, but they're not bad people. We all make mistakes. But to try to load them up with drug screens, which we would need if it was a DUI or drug, but still charge them $30 or whatever for one drug screen, I just could not see how we could possibly do that in good faith to the citizens of this circuit. And we have tried very hard to keep all of the costs very low. We haven't increased the probation fee that I know of, and I don't know how many years, and nor do we plan to do that. And even of that $44, we send $9 of that, we're required to send that to the state of Georgia. So our goal is to provide quality probation officers to the citizens of this circuit, because, you know, we never know, it might end up being one of our children, or a sibling, or a family member, or a close friend. And we want them to be treated in a way that they can pay the fees, but not be burdened that they can't, they'll just leave because they can't afford to pay. So that is what we have tried to do. And anytime any of you guys have questions, or you want me to appear here and answer any questions, I think most of you have my cell phone. If you don't, I'd be glad to give it to you.
Judge Weaver, thank you very much. I believe Mr. Holloway, were you gonna leave some documents with us or with our clerk, or?
And make extra copies in case y'all want to see them or anybody else that's interested.
Thank you very much.
And if you don't mind, I'm gonna let my husband take me out to one of your nice restaurants here in Fannin.